Yeah, it's not open.
I should.
Yeah, and I'm in Tennessee. I'm not even like in a high state stuff.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Like go pee in the pool.
No, I'm in LA and like people, no one's wearing a mask anymore. Nobody cares.
Awful.
People are just over it. No, I'm in LA and like people, no one's oh God, I can hear myself.
I can hear an echo.
Oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Keisha. Happy birthday to you.
Like, wait for it.
Dear Keisha. Anybody want cake? Thanks, guys. No, thanks.
Wait, Allison, are you, or does someone have the YouTube video live? Because I'm getting an echo from
us a few seconds later. Not me.
Yeah. After a moment, I was wondering what it was, and then I realized it's because we're live now.
I was like,
I didn't know we were live.
Too. Yeah. Hi, guys.
We just went live.
That's funny.
Did that get ruined? I've been planning that all day.
No, I think it was good. I think it worked
great.
out well. I just think the episode came in when I was still talking about Los Angeles and COVID. But I think other than like the first 5-7 seconds, I think you nailed it.
We are totally fine. That intro went as well as Keisha's birthday did. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage rewatch of Bigbrother 10. Amazing job as always, Allison. Fantastic work. 10 out of 10. But listen to it again. Of course, with us as always, Allison. How are you doing today?
Craptastic.
Awesome. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this week. This is a historic week in Big Brother history.
Yes. And Beth, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Didn't really think anything big happened this week in Big Brother, so probably a short show, not much to talk about.
Yeah, pretty slow. And to talk about the slow week that we've had on Big Brother, we wanted to bring on Wesley from the Once Upon an Island YouTube channel. How are you doing, Wesley?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. You know, Keisha's birthday was just so boring. Actually, when I was going to sleep, I was listening to it because that's how like nothing was happening. I'm like, another boring week of Big Brother.
Yeah, I had the same experience. I really couldn't get to sleep the other night, and I went, "What if I just watched Keisha's birthday again? I'll just right to sleep."
It's a real dude.
So for those who are tuning in for the first time, we are rewatching Big Brother 10 in its entirety, and we are currently in week 4, where Jesse ends up going home. Beth actually has not watched Big Brother 10 before, so she is watching all this for the first time. So she knew about like what Keisha's birthday was just from people talking about Big Brother, but she up until now had no idea what it is. So we are not spoiling anything past week 4. She knows that Dan wins, but other than that, the whole season is totally unspoiled.
I'm literally going to do that every week.
But feel free to join us in the comments to talk about spoiler things for Big Brother 10. She's not checking the comments, so those are safe there. But Beth, go ahead and give us the just a quick little recap for how this pretty boring, pretty uneventful week went.
So in 2 words, Keisha's birthday. There you go. That's the week. No, as we see, actually at least half of the episode, the first episode of the week is the HOH competition. We see that it comes down to April, who's in the majority alliance, versus Michelle, who is not in the majority alliance, and who just had to say goodbye to Angie. Who just left and is on, who was in her alliance. So they're both beasting this endurance comp, the wall comp, and they make promises to each other. And April tells her, "Hey, I won't put you up. I promise that you won't be put up even after if like a veto gets used, you're safe." And then Michelle asked about Jesse, and she said, "I can keep Jesse safe this week." So she didn't technically promise, "I won't put him on the block," but she said, "I will make sure he doesn't go home." So Michelle falls. It's a very dramatic, emotional moment where there's a lot of lying on a mat and people getting in weird sexual positions to hug her in April. And it just looks real wonderful. And I guess, I don't know. So we have an April HOH. So what ends up happening is April doesn't like now that Keisha and Memphis seem to be getting pretty close. Memphis is on the other side of the house, and just like Keisha was with Steven, April does not like the closeness that she's getting with Memphis. She doesn't find it to be beneficial to her. She said, I just won this HOH competition to keep her safe, and this is how she's treating me. This is not okay. Memphis is my target to go. So Memphis gets obviously put up on the block next to Jesse. It was a moment where we wondered if April was going to go for Keisha. Maybe she was going to go she wasn't going to do Michelle, but like, was she going to put up Dan? There were all these different things, but she decided, no, the best thing to keep my alliance happy right now would just be to put up Jesse. But we know that Memphis is the target, and I can make sure that Jesse and Michelle realize that that's the case moving forward. Cut to some pretty dramatic drama from episode 2, where the infamous Keisha's birthday finally comes to fruition. I will just do like an overview, and then we can go back and like talk about it more at length later.
Yeah.
It basically starts off with picking the players for the veto competition. You have Libra and April, and then it's Memphis, obviously, and Jesse, and Michelle, and Jerry were the other ones chosen. So Jerry, we know that wants to see Memphis go. We've seen him come after Memphis, and he would do whatever April wanted. We know that Libra would do whatever April wanted, but April decides that she doesn't think that Libra's going to bring much to the competition here. So she starts kind of ignoring her in the plans in front of her in the HOH room, which upsets, I think rightfully so, Libra by saying like, I'm in your alliance, like I'm in the competition, I could be beneficial. So she didn't like how she was being spoken to, so she kind of storms out. Keisha follows her. Or no, was Keisha in the room? I can't remember if Keisha was in the room at all.
Yes, she is.
Keisha was in there. It was funny to me about this whole thing is how they were talking about how, well, there's Jerry. Well, if it was a nose picking competition, then he would win hands down. It is so funny because that's like if we were in a group and we were discussing doing stuff like, well, Allison's on our team. If it were a piss and moan whining competition, win hands down. First thing I thought, I'm sorry, Beth, go ahead.
No. Like it was just like what we see here is actually April has a snotty kind of bratty personality that comes back, especially when she's feeling comfortable within her alliances or the people that she's with. I'm not saying that she's the only one who's like that. We have seen that come out of Libra, and we've seen sides of that come out of Michelle and Keisha as well. There are definitely moments where these girls, these ladies do not necessarily all click all the time, even if they're working together. So this leads into the big fight where Libra and Keisha go downstairs and they're venting their feelings, and they're not being quiet about it. As much as they want to say that they thought that they were like being demure about it in the other room, they were yelling about it.
Yeah, they were very loud.
They were angry whispering.
They were angry whispering, which means they were yelling. And Jesse wakes up in the other room because Jesse only eats and sleeps in this house, apparently, and hears everything, and then immediately goes upstairs and tells them exactly what Keisha and Libra are saying to Ollie and to April, which gets her very upset. Ollie gives her like a pep talk as if she's about to go into the boxing ring, and it's like, you got this, girl. You got this, girl. You're going to go get this. And April goes and starts going after Libra. Keisha's sitting behind her on the bed, and Keisha tries to talk, and she goes, I'll deal with you later. To Keisha.
I'll get to you in a minute.
And Keisha was like, no, not having that, gets up and leaves. So then she starts getting upset in the kitchen, which then brings her So she starts saying, who told her that I said stuff about her? And Michelle's like, it wasn't me. And Rennie's like doing a birthday cake for her. She goes, it wasn't me. It's your birthday. You got to be calm. Like, come on, let's have a good day. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm just over here decorating your cake.
just writing happy birthday, Keisha, on a cake. Meanwhile, Libra and April are going at it in the room. So then I can't even remember what happened next. Oh, no. So April, before I think Keisha left, Keisha goes back in. Then April says, Jesse was the one that told me. So then they get out and they start to storm off at Jesse. And then at one point, Memphis is like making fun of everything that's happening. And then at one point, Jerry breaks the news that Memphis is making fun of people in the other room. And then Rennie and Jerry start going at it and like pointing fingers in each other's faces.
You're pointing your finger at people. It's rude.
It's rude.
It's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate.
That's one of my favorite Rennie quotes of the whole season is, it's inappropriate.
Better not stick a finger in my face.
Alex's, your impression of Rennie is spot on. It's so great. Here's my favorite part. Honestly, out of everything, I don't care. Basically, all this argument happens. They try to break it up by singing the most somber happy birthday, which we heard in the beginning of the podcast. It's kind of broken up, and then they continue to kind of argue a little bit more. Cut to the veto.
Oh, wait, Beth, wait. There's something you left out when they were arguing in the kitchen. Libra goes, "Oh, we're gonna sing Happy Birthday. Let me go get April."
And then another fight breaks out.
Another fight breaks
Keisha's
out.
just waiting there like,
My favorite though is someone goes in to get Libra and I think Jesse are shouting at each other or something like that, and they go, We're gonna go see Happy Birthday. And she goes, "Oh, okay, we're gonna go see Happy Birthday." Puts her in there. We're gonna go do that. All right, we're gonna, it was great. So they go over. So basically, we'll get into the details of such an epic, amazing episode later. But cut to the veto competition where Libra actually is the last person standing. It's one of the vetoes where you can basically, as you get out, you get a prize, and typically the power of veto is the first thing. So people take the good things and like $5,000 or $10,000 or a trip or something like that. And I was actually surprised. I'm so used to it. I don't know if this is just like a newer thing, but in newer seasons, it seems like there's at least half of them are bad punishments. And then half of them are nice, like a veto, $10,000 and a trip. But this one, they had actually like 4.5 like good ones and like 1.5 bad ones. So yeah. It was interesting to see. This is where Michelle gets her Hawaiian vacation taken away from her by a
prize.
And she now has to wear the red unitard for a week. So basically what ends up happening at the end of this, because I've been talking for a long time, so I'm trying to like make it concise, is at the end of all of this, we have Jesse and Jerry gets the power of veto. He decides not to use it. Jesse and Memphis remain on the block. And then April, Dan, not April. Keisha, Dan, Libra, and Rennie actually have the 4 votes to put on Jesse. Dan's vote was actually America's player vote, which I didn't even speak about this week, where America basically controlled what he had to do. And they were the ones that voted for him. They voted for Jesse to leave, and Jesse leaves. And then what we see is Michelle wins HOH. And I can only imagine the kind of drama that's going to come this coming week.
Yeah.
Well, Beth, you got a little taste at the end of the episode because we see Jerry go, "Screw you people." And Libra is just sitting on the bench. She's like, "Guys, it's just a game. It's just a game, guys." And Michelle like, "Jesse, this one's for you. Don't worry, I'll get them all. Don't you worry."
And then she's going, "Traitors, traitors,
traitors."
So of course, like that happened in like the last 30 seconds of the episode, but that's just a little preview, Beth, of what's to come this next week here for Michelle's fantastic HOH.
Yeah, it was a really great week to watch. As you all can imagine, having it be my first time experiencing this week, I knew that there had to be something explosive happening just because of how Libra reacts. Like all I had seen or heard about was Libra going, "Anybody want cake?" Mm-hmm. Like that's all I've seen for like 2 years. So I was like, oh, someone either said something like really inappropriate, or maybe there was like a small fight or something but it was like funny. No,
everyone's so shocked. That's what it's like when my entire family gets together for Thanksgiving. Everybody's arguing in different rooms. Anybody go cut the turkey? We gonna eat some turkey.
We can argue about politics at the table with turkey in our mouths.
That's right. Democrats on this side, you demos on this side, liberals, you get to eat in the barn.
The thing that makes this fight so amazing, right, is because it's so many different fights combined into one great fight, right? So you have April versus Libra, April versus Keisha, like help me count, right? You've
Rennie
got
Jerry
Keisha versus
Rennie.
Jesse, Jerry versus Rennie, Libra versus Jesse, Jerry versus Memphis at one point.
Keisha versus Jesse. Did we say that one?
Yeah.
No,
So that's like
I'll stand up for
that's
anybody.
Keisha confronting Michelle. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah.
7, 8, 9 different combinations of people that get into it in some capacity, all in this one cluster of time. I mean, it's this like perfect storm of shit. It's incredible. I mean, it really is something else.
Yeah, but I will say, Jesse was not lying with what he went up and told April, and I thought it was, of course, like his execution afterwards is left to be desired, of course. But I think he had the right idea here with like trying to stir up a little bit of trouble between them, and the proof was in the pudding, or in this case, the cookie cake. He went upstairs. He told April, like, listen, they're talking shit about you right now, and they totally were, and they weren't being quiet about it either. Like. No. I almost wanted Jesse to, and this reminds me of like Survivor Pearl Islands when Sandra brings.
She can get loud too.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. What's her name? Tijuana? Is
Will? Oh no.
No.
Yes, Tijuana is in Pearl Islands. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember the Johnny Fairplay and somebody else were like talking shit about her. And instead of like just telling her, she brings her over to the guys talking shit and says, "Do you hear what they're saying?" I almost wonder like if Jesse should have done this instead, like bring April down there to the 80s rock room where he was taking his like 50th nap of the day, and let her hear it for herself. I think that would have been
what you should have done is said,
"That's a good idea.
Talking mad shit about you. You want to come here?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What I find really interesting is from this is my first time also watching the season, though I am very aware of the boot order. So I won't ruin anything for Beth, who you said you're only aware of what happens next week, but not beyond that.
I've only watched what's this week. I'm watching what we're doing.
She knows who wins.
She doesn't even know who Dan takes to the end.
Okay, well, I'm not really spoiling anything then. It's very interesting that they bring Jesse back next season. I thought that was. I haven't watched next season, but I thought that was really interesting. That out of all
touched on that, yeah,
they bring.
She knows that.
Okay, well, I figure that's safe because you already know who
safe,
wins.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I know most of the winners for Bigbrother.
What I think is interesting is like week 1, Jerry is like super patriotic. He's like he doesn't want to wear his Marine stuff when he's like going against his word. But now Jerry's just yelling at people with his Marine hat on. Like in a matter of 2 weeks, we've completely flipped like how Jerry's thinking about these people.
Yeah.
And he's so hurt by betrayal, and it's like, dude, like you turned on Brian, like you made the first act of betrayal in this game. Like Leslie,
and Jerry's a super fan; he should know.
You set the tone.
You know what? I was Michelle really lost her shit when Keisha took that Hawaiian surprise away from her. I mean, she was even just to humor me for a second, like she was just like. Hold on, I gotta turn around.
This is
how I'm gonna do the show from now on. Like this is all you're gonna get.
Ultimate disrespect.
That's it. I don't want to hear any more about it. You know?
So, I've met Michelle once at one of these charity events, and she is a blast. She's so much fun in person. Like I love Michelle.
Yeah.
And also she is a casting producer's dream.
Because
totally. Like this week really exemplifies. She gives you every reaction you're looking for, ratcheted up to 20, right? So she finishes 5th out of 6 in this competition. She has no business expecting a Hawaiian vacation. Right. You know what I mean? But like once a few people goes by, she starts to like assume it's going to work out for her. And it's really kind of heartbreaking to see her who finished first, Libra. She sees Libra get the leotard and she laughs. Because she doesn't know what's about to come yet. And it's like, you should not be laughing because the way a Yankee swap works, this probably isn't working out too good for you. But Oh
She
man,
looked
like
amazing. She looks amazing in that unitard. If it were me in the unitard, I look like one of those Oompa Loompas running around from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It'd be showing everything.
Listen,
So
I
she-
would be showing the world what curves you didn't know even existed. If
can
I
you
was.
believe they didn't wash it between seasons? Like, isn't that like a health risk or something? Like, you got to
Well,
wash a
there's
unitard,
COVID,
right?
so-
Are you serious? They didn't wash it?
Well, that's what they said. That's when
said they
Libra
were
read the thing.
unwashed.
She was like, the unwashed unitard worn by wait, who was it? Nate?
It was Jen and then Sheila.
Yeah, worn by Jen and Sheila. I was like, unwashed.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
they really,
no way.
I think
would
that's one
too.
of those things that they just said, but like
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, I don't think all three of those women are the same size.
That's got to get sweaty.
yeah,
Over the
right.
course of a week,
LA
sleeping in it.
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
jogging in
so,
it.
In my opinion, I think episode 11 of Big Brother 10 is like the best non-eviction episode in Big Brother history. Like we have the huge fight with Keisha's birthday, and we have this veto that just produces so much drama that even bleeds into the eviction episode. Like Alex, you said about Michelle's reactions. Julie Chen to the house guest live. She's like, Libra, so you took that vacation when you could have gotten a letter from home, and Libra's like, yes, Julie, I wanted to take a vacation with my husband. Like she has that like pageant smile again. She always has that when she's dancing.
Whenever Julie's like, "Hi, Julie."
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they cut to Michelle's face, and Michelle is literally like,
She's doing this. She's like,
so disgusted. Yeah.
and
Well,
I
Michelle had
wonder
a
if
5-minute rant about how bad of a mother she was because she didn't want to hear from her kid.
That was rough.
dude,
Yeah.
that was.
She would have gotten dragged to filth in the age of Twitter for sure for that one.
That was
For
my first
sure.
thought.
Yeah.
That was.
But the
my
thing
first
is, you know, if you know Michelle, like Michelle feels like she doesn't feel that way. She feels horrible. Like she's an emotionally reactive person, which is why she's great casting for this show. You know,
Yeah.
she's going to immediately fly off the handle to whatever like response is, you know, she's going to give you the response you're looking for television.
Mhm.
Well, she
But
also is like,
yeah, that was rough.
she's also like obviously a very loud, family-oriented person. Like you
Mhm.
see that, like that's like literally the first impression of Michelle that you get is like she has a loud, crazy family that are probably like too close, which is why they probably
Right.
fight all the time, but then they make up. So you can tell that like that's the kind of emotion that she's trying to give, right? So she's flying off the handle and she's making these comments that she probably doesn't even mean, but it's just there was just so much to that, and you feel every emotion that she has with her, and you're like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like, wow, you're dialing this up to an 11,
Oh,
you know?
You don't need that. Herbal, if you put me on there and I have to be, it would be never any. I would be a nightmare to deal with. I don't want to wear that. I'll be introducing people to camel toe. They didn't even know this kind of camel toe existed. It'd be insane.
And honestly,
Oh my
like I don't have kids, right? So I mean, maybe my opinion will change, if and when I do. But the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, Libra would be crazy to take the letter from home. Are you kidding? Like every parent needs a break from their kids, and then this break could be Hawaii. Like this is a no-brainer. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
Every good mother would take Hawaii. Get out of here.
Yeah. Because come on, I mean, just like, well, she's a horrible mother. I mean, she's leaving her kids, and what's she gonna go right back home and take her kids to go to Hawaii and leave her kids? It's just horrible. And I was just like, I have a 23-year-old, and I need him to be gone all the time.
Well, it's oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, it's like because he's back home, and I'm like, why are you here again? What?
But it's also funny because like when Julie's talking to Libra makes a point many times in a row, which is, my kids are with my husband and my mom. My mom and my husband are with my kids. My kids are with my mom and my husband. Like she says it like 15 different ways, like to basically be like, they have the best support system. I turned out okay, and that's who's raising my kids for me right now. Like it was like clearly we saw there was a conversation that happened like on the feeds or something that didn't make it into the edit, where like Libra must have either gotten the impression that was the case, that some people were thinking about it, whether it was Michelle or others, or people actually talked to her about it. So
I was
think
gonna say,
it's
I think
because
it's
she had a tiny baby. Doesn't she have a tiny baby or
She's
something?
very young. But I think it's also a great example of why Libra breaks the mold in terms of typical casting, right? She is very hyper aware of the narrative that's going to be going on outside of the house based on this choice she's made inside of the house, because she knows what Michelle is feeling and she knows how Michelle must be spinning it in the diary room. And she's hyper aware of the fact that she's the one like female Black representative on the season, and that things can get spun out of control based on that, and that the narrative will get away from her and she'll lose control of it. So she's not going to let that happen, right? She's a strong, assertive person. And I really respect that she's like, you know, making damn sure like you will not spin this in a way that I don't agree with. Like this is what's happening. And
she doesn't like, furthermore, like she doesn't back down from it either. Like she still takes the vacation away from Michelle.
Yeah.
She doesn't say like, she's not like saying like, oh, I need to think about my narrative, how I'm going to come across. I'm still going to do it and like explain myself away later.
They didn't care back then because there wasn't no twatter around for people to troll.
That's true. That's true.
maybe.
kind of
Although there were
wondering-
message boards.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit off topic, but like so I've watched all of Big Brother 2 and all Big Brother 21. And so now I'm watching Big Brother 10. This will be my third season.
Mhm.
At what point did we go from people talking normally in the diary room to, oh, this week's HOH, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to talk like this? Like, when did we shift to everyone talking like this?
I think Alex and I will have the same answer. Go ahead,
It is
Alex.
so annoying.
So, I mean, I feel like Dan plays a role in that in Big Brother 14. I mean, he certainly is a narrator of that nature, and other people are doing that. But I think there's a conscious shift post Big Brother 15. In Big Brother 16, when the show's first HD is also the season where they have like a much more safe cast, you know, and it also seems to be the season where if you're really watching the diary room and the live feeds of Big Brother 16, you really feel like, oh, they're telling them what to say in there. Like that's the first time where you really feel like diary rooms are being given to you rather than you giving everything to
Because
the
it feels
diary
like
room.
Dan's the only one doing that here, like you said. But by the time I watch Big Brother 21, I'm like, everyone kind of has like the same kind of cadence, same kind of talking. And
They
it's
script
like,
them now. We didn't know for sure until a leak in Big Brother Canada 5, where the diary room came through and was like, you could hear the diary room saying like, Will, could you say, like basically telling Will what to say, and then Will starting to say it verbatim, and then the feeds cut. Like they slipped that. We were not supposed to hear that. And that was like a huge moment for everyone, like, whoa, that's a little too far.
Yeah.
Because the way everyone talks, like I get Dan does it, but like by the time we get to everyone doing it, I'm like, this isn't
BB
real.
6.
Too much.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. I'm like, I've bitched about it for years. Just like it's a megaphone. It's megaphone time. We gotta yell. It's a cheer competition, you know.
Well, I actually remember this week in particular. It's funny that you bring this up, Wesley, because this week in particular, there was a diary room leak of Michelle in the diary room.
Really?
And it went on for a pretty substantial amount of time. Alex, I don't know if you remember this.
I wasn't watching feeds back then.
Yeah, so it was just a very like normal conversation. Like they did not like feed her any lines. They basically asked her questions, and if she didn't answer by making a complete statement, that's when they would tell her to say it again, just so they can like splice it together in editing. But there was no like, all right, Michelle, we need you to say this. You know, like in Big Brother 21, they told Kemi that she needs to talk with a little more.
That was the other one. Yeah.
I remember because I know Cliff came out at 21 saying that they didn't tell him what to say, and Tommy said the same thing, but I'm not completely buying it because I feel like everyone kind of talks the same way.
To be fair, Cliff and Tommy are two of the bigger fans and more self-aware and intelligent people on that cast. You know, so maybe
they
they
already were,
but that didn't mean someone else did.
So, yeah, and especially Tommy. You know, he's such an animated character already. I feel like he's literally a Broadway performer. I don't think you need to coach him in terms of like how to be entertaining and have like stage presence for the screen.
And I don't think Michelle was putting on a show or anything.
No,
that's why she's great. Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Like it could be. I mean, we heard this in BB17 that people could hear Johnny Mac yelling in the room. I wonder if Libra heard Michelle yelling and going off, "She's a horrible mother!" Like I mean, that could have been what got her.
Same house. That's possible.
What did she call us? She's a stupid con ass bitch. I mean, she's a horrible mother. And Jeez, Michelle.
Well, and I don't want to spoil anything for next week, but that's only a taste of what is said between people next week.
Oh, I'm sure.
But let's rewind because, of course, we want to talk about April's HOH. This is a very, very pivotal week in Big Brother 10. We see a lot of shifting in alliances, and we have some people in the chat asking to talk about how like these alliances formed, especially how like I feel like Keisha and Libra are very fluid with their alliances, especially Keisha, in terms of like who she likes, who she doesn't like each week, and how she's really willing to change her allegiance like at the like super quickly. Like, of course, we see this week she's buddying up with Memphis, and we see like the group of Memphis, Libra, Rennie, and Keisha, and Dan by proxy of America's Player really come together and solidify like a solid 5-person alliance. And April suddenly finds herself on the outs of that, which is so weird because like the beginning of this week, April, like when they're up on that wall, April and Michelle, they're on different sides of the house, right? Like they have to bargain back and forth and say like, I won't take out Jesse. I'll keep him safe, and I'll keep you safe too if you jump down. So I feel like so much happened in this week that we should like really dive into here. Yeah.
To be fair, I think that was a poor plan by April. Like you can promise one person safety and just not nominate them, but by promising 2 out of 3 people that are supposed to be on the other side of the house, 4 if you include someone like Dan. Or even if you really wanted to throw in like a Jerry into that situation, but he would be loyal to you. Like it's just not smart to be like, let me save 2 people that are clearly in an opposite alliance. Like that doesn't send like any kind of positive feeling to your current alliance members, who, by the way, are the people would be voting because you don't get a vote. It's an odd number of people. You don't even get, there's not going to be a tie. Mm-hmm. So it was really, that's where I was like, that was her first big mistake. She also like, just, I think she has like an issue with not being able to self-edit her thoughts about people, and she kind of says them out loud, or she has a way of talking about people that offends people. So if they're her friends or her allies, they get easily offended by her, which I can understand. Now, I will say this to both, to April's credit, and I will say also about Keisha and Libra. And I will actually say this as well about Michelle. I really honestly think the women of this season are incredibly perceptive. And April was like, I can sense that they're going to flip against me, and I want to make assurances that they're not going to. And she could like see where things were happening. So can Keisha and Libra and Michelle. They're all incredible at being able to read other people and get what they need to go on in this game. Yeah. And there are other people, like we talked about this a little bit with Jesse last week. Like Jesse's also pretty perceptive as well, just can't execute. And like you can argue whether or not the women can execute or not, given how many explosions happened this week. But I would say like, what, 3 guys have left and 1 woman has? So
yeah, absolutely. And I think like what starts like this dissension this week between April versus Libra and Keisha is Rennie. You know, at like right after the comp's over, Keisha and Libra start talking about like, oh, I don't trust April. I feel like she's going to do something, and they say that right in front of Rennie, or no, April. Who says that? I feel like I'm getting my names mixed up.
It's
here.
April, isn't it? April and Libra talking in front of Rennie, which is crazy because of course she's going to go back to Keisha, right?
Sorry.
Right. It's like as soon as April gets HOH, she gets really bold and audacious, right? I mean, that's what you love to see with some players. It's like, you know, HOH immediately goes to their head. You haven't won anything all season. Now you're bitching about the people in your alliance who haven't won when you've just got the one thing. Like, I mean, yeah, this is really amazing. And then they should have retired America's Player after this week, right? I mean, you can't get a better outcome than a split vote where America's Player has promised his vote to both sides, and then America gets to choose who goes home. I mean, that's crazy. You can't script that. Like, that's the perfect scenario. I mean, this week is amazing.
Yeah, just like the fact that the women all me.
No, Wesley's muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I saw his mouth moving, but
sorry. I was saying I feel like this isn't too bad of a spoiler, but Dan gets America's Player again in BB14, and I feel like because he executed this one so well,
Yeah.
Not really a spoiler, I feel like, but
No, that's fine.
yeah, okay.
But that's one of those situations too where like it was a great situation, but it also proves just how perceptive the women are in this house. Like they can sit back and say like, oh gosh, Dan's got to be like an America's player or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's right.
They all had a moment where they called him out on it. Like that is incredible. It's just I'm just like really blown away by the subtle moments in addition to like these bigger moments with a lot of the female players.
I love them. Keisha just trips me out with her face because she's all the time, and she's just
so
got that.
expressive with like she could never play poker because you can read exactly what she's thinking.
Yeah, I've got an animated face too, and like she's just
what?
but hers is this constant who farted face. Yes, it is the constant who farted, and it's just terrible. Just terrible. They're just terrible.
Especially when she's talking about April, right? Like she
you're not going to tell me. Nobody tells me anything.
She's like, I'm going to be honest. I can't stand that bitch. Like they really take some digs at each other. It's
just incredible that like just the way it all plays out. I mean, ultimately they don't reconcile, but they do pretend to reconcile and seem to reconcile for a little bit. When like, by the end they're all yelling at Jesse, but like. Jesse's like, you said you called her a bitch. And she knows I called her a bitch. It's like, wait, why is that like a resolution? It really does, fall apart. And it does show like Jesse had a good inclination, like, what he does, like kind of does light the fuse for them to ultimately fall apart. It's just, it's unfortunate that like he does it. Like, it's crazy because his plan comes to fruition. Like what he wants to happen happens. And the end result is him going home. Like something changes. Right. And he goes from a pawn to a target because of his actions. And I mean, I guess, before that was before the vetoes played. So he really had a feeling like, and then of course that's just the icing on this week, right? Fucking Jerry wins the goddamn physical power of veto. I mean, just, what a perfect week of Big Brother.
It was so good. It was
the guy that they all were talking about, he can't win anything as long as it's not picking his nose. So he's just like out hockeys them 9 rounds in a row.
But the best part about that is like, but Keisha's the one who technically like won, right? But she says, I'm not even going to take the veto. I'm going to take the vacation. So Jerry, who apparently can do more than just win a booger picking contest, like gets to do, like has the veto. But Libra also showed that like, bitch, I'm fucking strong in all of these competitions too. So like, basically this was like, even though April was in power,
it's not like you're hanging from a log. Okay, let's just calm down with the I'm tough, I can win a competition.
Hey, it's a skill-based comp, though.
I mean, Jerry leveraged that shit into a veto and 5K somehow. Or no, wait, they split the 10K 3-way. So like 3,300 whatever. April agreed immediately. Like what?
They won't let you do it, will they?
April had all the power.
No. If it doesn't go to Jerry, it goes to Libra. Like, it's fine.
April had all the power in terms of being the head of household, but she absolutely had the worst week in the house. Like she lost her majority alliance for the exception of now the people that she's probably has to be aligned with are now in power going into this coming week. That's like the only thing that happened there. Her target doesn't go. She wins. She gives up some of her money. Like there's like literally nothing that goes perfectly right for her. She gets yelled at by her friends. Like it's just.
So let me ask you guys this, because I want to compare April's HOH week to Keisha's HOH week last week, because Keisha was very like, she really put her foot down. Like, Jesse is not going home here. I need Angie to go. And everybody wanted to flip, but Keisha was able to maintain that control over everybody, even though she had no vote. And we saw plenty of instances where it was so close to flipping, but Keisha was able to reel that back in. Why is it that April wasn't able to accomplish that same goal this week with literally the same person?
Nobody gives a fuck about April. She ain't scary. She's
No.
not like she's not going to go off and stomp off and get like, what's April going to do?
She's going to ruin your birthday.
She's going to ruin your birthday. That's it. Keisha's going to come at you. Libra's going to come at you and all that. I'm going to be like, Libra, Keisha, I will do hand to God, whatever you guys tell me. April, go fuck yourself. I'm going to do it alone. I mean, that's basically what it was. I mean, nobody, even the look on her face when Jesse got evicted was like,
Oh yeah, she looked like she saw a ghost.
yeah, like I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I feel like a lot of it really does come down to just, not being able to just like keep yourself in check, like letting power go to your head. You know what I mean? Like, and part of it is that this isn't her. Like, she didn't just win power and come into power, right? They've been in power all game. These girls have been controlling the game since the moment that Brian got the game flipped on him, right? Which was like it was week 1. So, things have been going too well, right? And they're gamers, and especially, and they want things to go a certain way, and it was always going to come to a head, it feels like. And this is the point at which it does, Jesse versus Memphis, where they both sides just feel too firmly that it has to be this way, and that rift becomes like so big that it can't be. And like, this is why I think this is such a great season. I know a lot of people say like the best Big Brother seasons are the ones like BB6 where the house is split, but I like those less because I feel like every time somebody wins HOH, it's like, it is a big reaction, like, oh, that side won, but it's like, we know who they're going to put up. I think the best seasons for me are the ones like this, where you have a big group dynamic. Everyone does what the HOH wants. Everyone does what the HOH wants. Everyone does what the HOH wants until 1 week, right? The flip week, the week where a bunch of people get together and decide, wait a minute, the HOH doesn't have a vote. Why are we doing what they want? They don't control anything but the nominations. Once the nominations are done, and that's when like everything kicks off and the game becomes like something else entirely. And those are my favorite seasons. Those are the ones that really like end up kind of like just being the most compelling to me.
The whole week was just so good, especially when Jesse and Libra were arguing, and Libra was like, well, say what you're gonna say, and Jesse's like, well, I'm trying to say it, but you won't let me say it. And then she was repeating what he's saying, and he's like, oh, so now you're just gonna repeat what I'm saying? I guess, and it just kept, it was like a nothing fight.
Oh, there was nothing. That was the best part where Michelle goes, what? Do you guys even know what you're arguing about anymore?
Yeah. Michelle thought I was going to squash it. That exacerbated the shit out of it. Like, oh, I know. Yeah. I know what we're fighting about. Wow.
Yeah,
wow. I know what we're fighting about. Yeah.
I know.
Whoops.
That was the best part. Michelle wasn't even arguing with anybody, but just because her voice is so like she gets like so pumped up, it sounded like she was just arguing with everybody. What the fuck are people even yelling about?
Well, and it was the wrong thing to say if you're trying to get everyone to calm down, right? Because it minimizes what they're mad about, because they are mad about a thing, then they do remember what it is. So that's like taking ownership of your narrative. You guys don't even remember what you're fighting about. That's like, well, you're calling me an idiot that can't remember what I'm mad about. Like, that is not, that's just going to get you more mad. Like, that's a bad approach.
The only person who didn't play a role in the fight was Dan, right? Because Ali stayed out of it, but he was pumping up April for it. So like,
Memphis didn't say anything.
No, Memphis was making fun
Memphis
of
got
them
dragged
or something.
into it, right?
Jerry, he's just doing what I would have done in the other room.
Looking for any opportunity.
When you put a bunch of 30-year-olds in the house, they go crazy.
Right.
When you put 30-year-old women in the same house, they lose their shit. Why don't you put some 40-year-old women in there and you really see some menopaused out stuff? We're gonna lose it.
Who did Rennie throw under the bus when she walked out of that room? Was it Jerry or was it
Jerry? Yeah,
it was Jerry. Yeah.
He better not do it to me. Put your finger
on it. He's like, they're talking about you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the Colonel.
The Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Colonel. That's what she calls him. Yeah.
Rennie was the other person in this episode. So Rennie and Michelle have like the same thing where everything they say is a scream or a yell. Like, she's hosting the veto competition.
That's inappropriate.
Like this the whole time.
Jerry.
My throat hurts.
He says Jerry.
And
Jerry,
if you miss, you're out of here.
Jerry, you are 3 away from the veto.
Yeah, she's like, here's your first place prize.
You won at the time.
You're Ejected. That's
Out of here!
I love your lipstick color too for this comp. It's like a really
So
strong thing.
You know what I never noticed about that fight
thing
before?
too, when she tells him to get out of here. I can't do it, but she does.
It's crazy as many times I've watched that fight, I noticed something this time that I'd never noticed before, which is like, I think, it's when Rennie comes out and she's yelling with Jerry, yelling about Jerry. I think it's Memphis, but it might be Dan. Somebody off screen says under their breath, almost like in shock, like they can't believe it. It's contagious. Which is fucking amazing. I had never caught that before. I had to rewind it just to make sure I'd actually heard it. But that is in there, dude. It's fucking great. And it is contagious.
Is it in the living room?
Yes, it's definitely coming from
it's Dan.
It's a shot of the kitchen and it's coming from like your left audio. So
because Dan was sitting on the couch, right? When Memphis was talking to America or something like that. I think Dan's the one that's sitting on the couch.
It's possible. Either way, it's a very amazing observation in the moment.
That's amazing.
Dan's got his nose buried in that Bible while they're all fighting. He's
Smart,
just like,
dude.
And Jesus said forgiveness.
And you know what? I mean, that's a great example of, just staying out of it. And another great example is like after the cake thing, man, like it could have been done and Jesse could have escaped with minimal damage. But Libra apologizes to the group. And then Jesse apologizes for being honest, which is like such a dick move. And of course is going to set the whole thing off again, right? Because like those are the moments where Jesse, like anything he's trying to do is lost in this failed execution. And like, again, dude, this is a guy who's fought with Jerry, he's fought with Rennie, he's fought with a bunch of people in previous weeks. Like, eventually this shit comes home to roost. All these people have to vote for you to stay, bro. Like,
does he learn anything from this season when he plays next time? Don't ruin anything. Just like, does he get better, or is he just
a lot better?
It's debatable. He plays a lot better, but some people would argue it's because he has like a very, friendly group of players. I mean, I think he's definitely a lot better. Yeah.
He has morphed into Mr. Spectacular.
In the next season.
That's funny.
The next, he's in the
Does he
early
say that?
stage.
Mr. Spectacular.
Or did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
No, he's Mr. Spectacular. But I think you start seeing that emerge when he.
Nicely done.
Yes.
So
I didn't make that up.
Well, that's his actual name.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. All right.
That's like his wrestling name or something.
No. But you said Mr. I thought you were saying you went from Mr. Spectacular to Mr. Spectacular, and I was like, oh. Nice to play.
Spectacular.
I operated him.
Yeah, that's right.
That
you didn't even know you were doing it.
I want to talk about Keisha's birthday from Dan's perspective a little bit more because, of course, like I think that he would not have interjected himself into that fight to begin with. I think that he's a lot more smart and calculated than that, obviously. But I think he was really telling himself here, like, America's player told me to get Jesse nominated this week. That was his first task that he successfully completed. So I think that he's thinking in his head this whole time, like, Jesse's digging himself an even deeper hole here. I know America wants him out. Like, they've told me they want him out of anybody else in the house. So I think my best bet is to just sit back and let him like really dig his own hole here. And I think that that's why, like, of course we see him get pitched from both sides. Like we see him get pitched to keep Jesse from Jerry. And Jerry's like, he tells Jesse, like Jesse's like napping and Jerry goes in there and he's like, it's done. I got it. It's done. And Jesse,
like, okay. Who still thinks it's 7-0, is like, I know.
Yeah.
He goes back to sleep. He had no idea he was in danger at all. Like,
oh my God.
But then, of course, we see in the hippie room, we see like Libra, Keisha. They really bring Dan into like a whole group of people and really kind of like confront him all together, which I thought was a really strange tactic. Like usually these conversations are had one-on-one, but Dan like gets brought into this room like full of people and they're like, listen, you have to take out Jesse. We're doing it. Like, what else can you say except for yes in that moment, right?
Yeah.
But I think Allison disconnected a little bit there.
No, you're on froze, so you're good.
So I think that Dan knew the whole time, like it's going to end up being that I'm siding with the hippie room alliance, if you will, and that Jesse's eventually going to go this week. So I think Dan was putting in a little bit more work with that side this whole week before the vote even happened.
Another thing I picked up on with this rewatch I'd never really noticed before that I think is a really subtly effective thing that Dan does in that moment is he like looks up at the camera and does one of those little celebrations like you do if your best ally just won head of household. And they see that, and then he leaves the room, and Keisha and Libra do a similar dance, right? And I think that's powerful. I think that shows that like Dan is so, like Libra's having doubts about whether Dan wants to keep Memphis. And here's Dan so jubilant about this plan that like he can't even contain his excitement, right? Like it's just bursting out of him. That's like an outward expression that like at least seems like you can't fake it, right? I think that's really effective. And I think that really sells home the point to Libra, who needs to be convinced in that moment for the flip to happen that Dan is definitely with them. I think that's smart.
Libra is so perceptive too. Like that's such a good way to like really subtly like reassure her out of anybody that
because who like celebrates to the camera like all giddy if they're lying? You know what I mean? Like that's good. Like
that was a good move. I think that I don't want people to come and attack me. Please don't come and attack me, people.
Please attack.
I haven't seen much that really impressed me until this week with Dan. Like I've been waiting for what makes Dan like considered to be like the best player, and it's exactly those moments, Alex. It's the moment where he like when he's in the diary room and he says, and this would have been before America would have voted, or would have been after America had voted, like, but it aired after, whatever, where he says in the diary room, if Jesse goes home, I'm in trouble. If Memphis goes home, I'm in more trouble. Which is a subliminal way to like, I think he must have been doing things throughout the week to kind of get America to do what he really wanted to do. And because clearly if you're America's player, America likes you. So they want to try to do what's best for your game. And I do think that he stands a better chance with Keisha, Libra, and Memphis than he does with Michelle, Ollie, and April, just given how and Rennie for the other side too, just in like, cause, and then Jerry on the other side for that one. But just because like the personalities of April, Ollie, Jerry, Michelle, for the exception of maybe Michelle here, the other three have proven that like they will do things to screw over their alliance members. Libra has also done things that might screw over her alliance members, but Keisha has proven that she is fiercely loyal and will stick with people that she likes. She likes Memphis. Memphis has proven that he's loyal to the people that he's with. And you're also talking to people that I think that Dan has been able to make himself a priority in his social gaming. You can't make yourself a priority with April and Ollie because they're a twosome. You can't make yourself a priority with Jerry because he's always going to be his number one priority to himself. And you know that Jesse is going to be like that too. So you better get out Jesse over Memphis, who could actually potentially work with you. So I do think that there's a lot of like little things that Dan did throughout the course of this week that really, really helped his case. And I was noticing it for sure.
Absolutely. A lot of people in the chat are totally agreeing with that assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you're spot on here. So of course, like eventually, yes, we see that the girls do flip and they take out Jesse with the help of America's player. Little do they know that that's actually happening. And then of course we get to that HOH where Michelle wins. It comes down to Libra and Michelle, which is like such an exciting final two for that HOH because like both of them know it's like do or die. Like the lines are like drawn in the sand at this point. So it was very exciting.
Good question, Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on the wall. I need a motivational speech. What would you say to me?
Oh, God, I would probably be like, Allison, everybody's watching you back at home, but, Finley really needs like the creme de la creme of cat food in his life. So he needs you to bring that 500,000 home. So he really just needs you to hang on for dear life. After all of the pleasant things he's done for you over the years and on this show, of course. Pooping in the litter box while we're live on air, things like that. Yeah, exactly. Of course, like I love like Dan's like motivational speeches that becomes like a big thing in Big Brother 14 as well.
But what another brilliant moment. Even though Keisha was like, He definitely threw that competition. Like, you almost forget about it immediately because he's proving like, I am not aligned to any one person and I want to see all of you succeed. When you're the one that's sitting out of all the fights for the week, when you're the one that's provided the motivational speeches, when you're the one that is seen as the swing vote, yeah, people are going to be mad at him going into next week. But you know who they're going to be more mad at? Keisha and Libra. Maybe Rennie. Like, so I think it would be like, yeah, he might have to be a replacement nominee or something like that, but I don't see him being the one that gets put up over Keisha and Libra.
Yeah. And those also demonstrated, right? He's clearly taking the time to learn facts about everybody, their families, where they're from, what they are into. You know what I mean? Like, he sprinkled all that shit in there because, like,
here I might add.
yeah, it's legit.
That's a really good point, Alex, is that he's like acknowledging that, like, I've been listening to the conversations I've been having with you guys about like your personal lives. Like our relationships are not based on gameplay. They're based on like an actual genuine connection. Just another example of Dan's Mist and how effective it really is.
I have a question for the two of you that were watching this for the first time, right? Did you think that 10-second hug task was going to be as easy as it ultimately was?
Yes.
With how goofy Dan is, I think I say yes.
Yeah, Jesse is the type of bro to like bring it in, dude. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if people realized how easy it was going to be for him. That is so great.
Listen to me. I sent that screenshot to Tyler, and I said, Tyler, if you ever get on Big Brother, that's gonna be you doing that 100% and looking in the camera.
I love that moment because it's so easy. It's the easiest task. Jesse doesn't even let him escape for that for well over 10 seconds.
Who do you guys think would have been a harder person? I think Memphis would have been the hardest person to do that.
Rennie would have been tough, maybe.
Rennie would have been tough.
Maybe Jerry, I don't know.
Jerry, do you think Jerry hugged
Jerry for 10 seconds?
Yeah, Jerry. I don't think they cottoned to that in Korea.
Yeah, they really piled on Jesse for these like America's player tests.
America could have been shady and been like, go hug April for 10 seconds in front of Ollie.
Make sure Ollie watches.
Yeah. So we have a
do the smile too. Like,
that's another thing, right? America got to vote on 3 things this week, and they picked Jesse for all 3. Like, talk about not having the people's backing. Like,
but that also gives you a good sense of what America's thinking about other people. So Dan, being a smart person, could sit there and go, well, clearly they don't like Jesse. So I should probably ride the train or the alliance that doesn't want to get Jesse out.
Well, he's definitely playing up to America too, right? Like with the whole like, hey, Mrs. Chen, like in the diary room when he casts his vote. Also, like when he does get the vote for Jesse, he says, "Good job, America." And then of course, like that wink when he's hugging Jesse, and Alex, like what you said earlier about him like jumping up to the cameras in front of Libra, like he acknowledges and is always aware that America and like Big Brother watching are another player of this game that you have to be aware of and not forget.
He also shows, he really shows with these America's Player diary rooms what ultimately, I mean, this is my opinion, but I think he shows exactly what ultimately led him to find so much success on Twitch and like as a streamer post Big Brother. Like he's been able to make a career solely out of that. And I think it's because, and I've said this to people before, people who don't understand, like I've talked to my parents about this because they don't understand why anyone would watch somebody else play video games. And I get why that's a weird concept. I get why that's a weird concept to people, but like I think what Dan and really successful Twitch streamers do is what Dan does with this America's Player stuff, right? He brings you in. He makes you an alliance of, you know,
you're part of it.
America plus Dan, you know what I mean? Like, and when he's streaming, he does the same thing. Like, we're on a mission together. What do you guys think we should do? Should we go this way? He always says we. Like, he's not the one playing. Like, we're playing together. You know what I mean? Like, Dan is really, really smart and really just it's subtle language like that is really, really powerful.
So I would love to make the comparison now. I feel like I've been waiting. I'm like waiting for the moment.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
To Dr. Will, because I feel like in 2 ways, Dan is like emulating Dr. Will, whether it's on purpose or not. I feel like it partially is. Dr. Will, like the way he did confessionals, not in the first half of the season, but really the second half of the season where he won, he was always like, haha, isn't it so great how I'm able to lie to everyone? And I tell them like we're laughing together at everyone else, which is a little bit different from Dan, who's like, let's work together. But Will's like, let's laugh at everyone together. And then Dan, of course, is telling us how he's throwing HOHs and stuff, which, by the way, Will says he did. But I feel like Will did revisionist history his season because wasn't really to like near the end of the game where he's saying, "Oh yeah, I was throwing HOHs the whole time," but I'm not too sure on that one. But Dan here from the beginning is like, I'm purposely doing these things, just to let you know, like here's how I'm doing it. So Dan, like you're saying, lets you into what he's doing. It like feels like we're going on the journey together with Dan. And I feel like Dr. Will did the same thing. I think that's what makes them such popular players. Dr. Will's a doctor, so he's never gonna, I don't think it will ever be twitching, but people are like so excited to get cameos from him because we feel like we know him because of how he includes us, and same with Dan, how he just includes us on his journey of what he's doing. So
yeah, it's a very good tactic to use in life. Salesmen do it and all that. I just want to bring up, and we're not going to harp on it too long, but speaking of Dr. Will, Mike Boogie had a psychotic break recently. And because Will turned down doing the Amazing Race with Mike Boogie, Boogie lost it and threatened his family. He took screenshots. I mean, just really got out of hand and actually kind of scary and uncomfortable. And I just want to say that, we don't support that kind of crap. And, we don't watch the show, and, we're not going to feed into it too much. But
I do know he was on Survivor NSFW the other day. I didn't listen to it, so I don't know if they talk about that, but I wonder if that was part of their conversation. So after we're done, I'm going to go check that out.
There were videos in the Big Brother groups. There were videos of Mike Boogie talking into the camera, and it was very, very, very cringeworthy. I'm just saying, I hope that Mike Boogie gets the help that he needs, because I really feel like that is not something that someone who's mentally balanced would do. And he's in my thoughts and prayers, because I want him to get help if he needs it. I'm not trying to make fun of it or anything, but dude,
it's really dark.
I mean, that's kind of like if I took a picture, if Tyler didn't want to do the Amazing Race with me, and I took a picture and blew it up.
Which would happen, by the way.
That's right. He would. No one would run the Amazing Race. And I took a picture of Tyler, and I blew it up, and I lined Finley's kitty litter box with it, and I took video.
That would actually be pretty funny.
Finley's eating shit and trying to bury it on Tyler's face.
Yeah, bury Tyler, kitty, bury him.
Oh my God.
You're going to do it with me? You're going to do Amazing Race with me?
I actually wanted to bring up this question in the chat that I thought was really good for Beth and Wesley as well, who's like just watching Big Brother 10 for the first time. Out of the final 9, who's played the best during these first 4 weeks? What do you guys think?
You can go ahead first, Beth. Unless you want me to go, I can go.
Why don't you go ahead? Because I'm trying to choose between a couple people, and I want to like balance it in my head first.
So I guess if I had to pick, I don't want to sound cliche because I already know who wins, but I really want to say Dan, because he starts off so bad that first week. And it really sounded like he was a target, but somehow we're through week 4, and like Dan isn't top of mind for like really anyone as far as I'm aware. He's just really sliding by, but he's also, as we said earlier, making those like connections, like befriending people in the house instead of like getting in these fights, for example, or antagonizing people, which is what I feel like what Jesse does constantly with the way he talks to people. Dan's not doing any of that. So I feel like in terms of who's improved the most, I feel like Dan's improved the most. Who's playing the best? I want to say Dan because of that, so I might be a little bit biased. I can't say I think anyone's playing better than Dan, but there's a lot of people playing well. But after that Keisha birthday, I'm not too sure anymore.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Allison.
No, I was just gonna say that, and I'm not gonna get into a long thing. I think Memphis. I just think Memphis, just because the guy's been, nominated a couple of times. He's still there. He's laying low. He's kind of telling people like
building good alliances with Keisha.
He's being honest, but he's going about it in the right way about things, and it makes you comfortable.
Didn't he blow up on Jerry, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, he did. Jerry got him a womanizer.
He's a grumpy old fart. And stop it.
I do think though, like the way he reacted is very important and how, because people see that. And so, they'll be walking on eggshells with Memphis when it comes to talking about those kinds of things. And you don't want anybody walking on eggshells around you. You want them to feel comfortable just to tell you stuff. And so I do think something like that, though, if anyone else saw it, is very important to like relationship building with other people.
Yeah. So I thought about Dan, but I actually don't think that Dan played the best game in the first couple of weeks. I think he started turning it around in week 3 and 4. So when we're saying the first 4 weeks, I'm trying to think of who's played the best game until this point. It may or may not be on an upward or downward trajectory. And the person I'm choosing, I think, is now starting a downward trajectory just because of who won HOH, and that's Keisha. I actually think that Keisha played the best in the first 4 weeks by consistently finding alliances with people, even if they were on their way out. And somehow managed until this past week with this elimination to go against her own alliance to get what she wanted done. She had like a perfect HOH week, followed it up by getting what she wanted out of her alliance's HOH done. And she's, in my opinion, the one that spearheaded getting Jesse out, not Libra. She's the one that had a close enough relationship with Rennie that Rennie felt safe enough to be able to vote with them. She's the one that approached Dan. She's the one that
her and Dan's relationship has not been shown, but it's very represented here in these first few weeks. But her and Dan are very close. I think Beth, you said like during Keisha's HOH week, we saw Dan like hanging out in that room like all the time. Yeah,
exactly. And I just feel like she's played the best game thus far, in the fact that like she's considered like that she's like a recruit and such, to me is really, really impressive. And I wish we could have recruit players like her now. Yeah,
right. Of course, we always end with Beth and Wesley too, since you're here and you haven't seen it. Who do you guys think Michelle's going to nominate? Who do you think's going home this week?
Oh, I can't say.
This is the start of the jury, by the way.
Oh, so you're spoiled?
Yeah. No, I know the boot order.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, Beth, humor us, because who did you say last week?
I thought that Michelle was going to win HOH last week and that Keisha and Libra were going up on the block, which is not what happened. I think that obviously we know that Michelle won HOH. I think Keisha and Libra will go up on the block, and I think that a replacement nominee will be like.
Who do you think gets themselves off the block then, since you're saying he's going to be a replacement?
Well, I don't know necessarily if someone's going to get replaced. I'm just saying, like, if there's a replacement nominee, I think it would be someone like Memphis. It may be Dan. I don't think it would be. And I would be shocked if they did like a Jerry or something like that. But we'll see. I think that Michelle has a lot of fire, and I think that she knows where to aim it right now. So
yeah, when do you think Jerry's going to get nominated? He hasn't been nominated yet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, not yet.
It's inappropriate.
He's doing good for 70.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple interesting storylines going into this week, right, is like Dan as the swing vote. Sometimes we see the swing vote ends up getting targeted because they didn't swing the way they were supposed to. Yeah. So this is another test for Dan, right? Like a bad swing vote ends up being the next target. A good swing vote that doesn't swing the way the next power person wants still finds a way to like fade back into the shadows. So this is a good test for Dan. And then also I think this is a good example of like, I mean, I think like Beth was saying, like Keisha's game has been really strong. Obviously everyone's played a bit of a messy game. No one's played like this immaculate game in this season because there's been a lot and it's kind of a roller coaster. But I mean, the bottom line is like that alliance is way better for Keisha than for Libra, because everyone is connected to Libra through Keisha. Mm-hmm. Rennie is connected through Keisha. Memphis is connected through Keisha. Dan is connected through Keisha.
Yep,
so if that alliance is in trouble, Libra's in trouble.
Exactly. So if the other side's smart, they would go for Keisha. But I just don't see Keisha going though. Like I feel like she's such a bad bitch that I don't think that people like. I think that she would like win the veto over going home. Like I feel like Libra will probably go home this week. Like that's my feeling.
You know what, Beth? I don't even remember who goes next week. I'm gonna be honest
Oh,
with
I
you.
remember.
Don't
I've been
freaking
forgetting
remember.
things about this season. I'm glad because it's making it more fun to watch.
It's
Yeah.
like it's brand new to me all over again. And like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like last week's thumbnail for our show, I freaking thought Keisha was nominated. And then, oh, she's not nominated. Oh shit. Okay. And I'm like, I can't remember who is going home or what. I just know who the final two is and who wins.
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens with Michelle's HOH week. Who she puts in the first jury slot. We are now in jury, so that's another salt in the wound for Michelle, is that her and Jesse can't hang out for the rest of the season. So we'll see. We'll see if this one is truly for Jesse. Don't worry, I'll get him. We have all that to look forward
I
to.
know, Jesse, it's for you.
So I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Wesley, I want to thank you again for joining us and talking some Big Brother 10. And I know you just had like a really great video about Dr. Will. So go ahead and plug your channel if you'd like.
Sure. My channel is Once Upon an Island. I'm a YouTube channel that mostly focuses on Survivor. If you like Peridium, you'll probably like me as well. I feel like people know Peridium, so I just gotta put that name.
Yeah, totally.
So I have done a few Big Brother videos. The biggest one is I did a story video on Dr. Will. It's like 54 minutes. That basically takes 30 episodes of Big Brother 2 and condenses it down to just focus on Will and Will's story. And it's not every single moment of his story because that'd be like a 2-hour video. But I really condense down to basically because Big Brother, as the show goes, of course, doesn't know how the show's going to end. So they're trying to form a narrative as they go. Whereas I have the benefit of knowing exactly what's going to happen. So I go back and I craft the narrative and cut out the fat so that we just have the narrative of what's actually important to his end game, to what happens.
The winner's edit.
Yeah.
Half amazing.
Winner's edit. Because I know exactly what's going to happen. So good or bad.
I want to watch that.
I'm really excited to watch this. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I want to watch this.
I'll link it when this video is done posting. I'll link it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments, please.
I put it in our private chat as well.
Cool.
I got it.
Not that anyone has that, but yeah,
Already pulled it up.
I have a couple others. I did in Big Brother 2. There's a Survivor crossover. I don't know if you guys are fully aware of that. Where like one episode they had 4 survivors come to the house for like a day.
Was it Jervis and Varner and who else?
Yeah, it was Alicia, Varner, Jervis, and Sue.
Right.
And basically, it's just like it's like a total one-off episode. Like it means nothing, but I feel like for anyone who's interested in Survivor, it's an interesting one to. So I did like a whole video on that one as well.
And I had because I've never watched Big Brother 2, so I saw that video on your channel and I watched it, and I've never watched Big Brother 2. I know that's like breaking news.
Who are you people that haven't?
know.
I started watching Big Brother 16.
Gotta watch
I've never seen Big Brother 2. What?
Big Brother 8 was my
Allison, I had the same things about you when I talked about Survivor.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. But no, I really enjoyed watching that video because it was really cool to see like all the Survivor players who were like, yeah, these people could never play Survivor. Like
It's just trash Big Brother.
They really did. And Julie Chen just like let it happen. It was great.
I'm sure they encouraged.
Yeah. So Alex, where can we find you on social media?
At Alex Kidwell.
Cool.
I'm not doing anything else right now, but I might. I mean, I probably will get something going for Big Brother 22, doing some podcasting and stuff like that. So people can stay tuned.
Yeah.
What?
Is that official Big Brother 22 and the All Stars, or is that still just rumor?
Oh, I mean, it's not even official that like I just went to the park this weekend, and it was the first weekend that you could go to the park, and rec league softball's already back. Nobody's wearing a mask. Everyone is like on the dugout, fully tightly packed. Like,
yeah,
if this is how LA County is doing, then we're not getting Big Brother. I'm sorry. Like, so we'll see what happens.
Beck, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on Twitter, on Twitch, so twitch.tv/AugustaWind11, and on Instagram. You can also now find me on RHAP's RuPaul Drag Race coverage, which I am excited to join Liana and Aman for. We will drop those episodes, recaps every weekend at the end of the weekend or on Mondays.
That is so cool. I've never watched Drag Race, but I listened to the podcast, and you did a really great job, Beth. So that's
thank you.
Really
it
awesome.
was. I agree. So Brent said in the podcast as he was saying his goodbyes that Liana is the best podcaster, and I have to agree. Like she's just amazing, and I'm just so thankful to be with her and Aman, who I got to play Winners at War with for like 5 seconds before I got out. But I got to pregame and play with him a little bit, and it's so nice to have an opportunity to chat with them about. Guys, I love Survivor and I love Big Brother, but Drag Race is my favorite thing to talk about. So to have a platform to be stupid and talk about Drag Race, I'm here for it. I can't wait. So.
If you guys don't watch Drag Race, just download it so that her numbers look better.
Yes, exactly.
Just download it. You don't have to listen.
The Beth effect. Allison, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on our Instagram, My Weekly Meltdown on Instagram, or the.memphis.darling on Instagram. Subscribe to My Weekly Meltdown on YouTube. You'll get notifications for when we go live. Also,
do we have something coming up this weekend too?
Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Summers, SOMMERS 1977. Follow my cat, Finley Mitchell Kelly, on Instagram. Just look up his name. Yes, this Friday at 4:45 Central, 5:45 East, me and Beth and forgive me.
Sure,
Beth,
it's going to be. We're gonna be joining forces here on My Weekly Meltdown with Podquester, which includes Louis Knowles, and he's gonna have 3 guests, or we'll have 3 guests. AJ Norris, who also played in Winners at War with Louis and myself, and we're gonna have Dante and Andy Vogel, and I think that's it. And we're going to be doing a Survivor precast analysis for the Survivor Sequester game, which is on Saturday. If y'all haven't seen already, this cast is fire.
So good.
Fire. This is such a good cast that's going to be playing. We have some Survivor Australia, Survivor South Africa players, in addition to 10 U.S. players, including a few from Winners at War, Adam Klein, Michelle Fitzgerald. We're pretty stoked.
A serious lack of Christy, though, from Australian Survivor. I'll point that out.
True. Yeah. Well, I was saying Janine could have been there, but then like everybody else could just go home at that point because she's just a boss. My winner pick is Tessa from Australian Survivor. Just locking that in right now. But yeah, definitely you guys tune into that. That's going to be really awesome coverage and speculation too.
Yeah, so make sure you have the reminders on for our channel so that you can get notified when we go live. But we're excited to work with Podquester to do this precast analysis.
Awesome.
And Wesley, you did tell everyone where we can find you.
Yeah, I could do it again, but I feel like it's overkill.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Nana. I'm being a Nana. My brain. I'm being a Nana. I had a Nana moment. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, we'll be doing our thing Friday for the Sequester Survivor crossover mini. And then next Wednesday, we'll be back for 13, 14, 15, episodes 13 through 15 of Big Brother 10, the rewatch. We might have a special guest, maybe. We don't want to say.
Still working on it. Maybe.
Still working on it. Might have a special guest.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.